Welcome to Yacht Femme, where we talk about the women that make the yachting industry. I'm your host, Andrea Tagliaferro. Learn who they are, how they got into yachting, and what they do today. Meet Norma Trease, a familiar face in ports worldwide. Norma began her yachting career as an award-winning charter chef and licensed captain for 10 years on motor and sailing yachts. She then spent 12 years shaping the international crew placement industry before selling the crew network to Fraser Yachts. Norma focuses on business sectors benefiting the professional yacht crew, helping areas like yacht insurance, marina development, and digital technology flourish. A highly desired speaker, she also serves on the boards of the International Seakeepers Society, the International Superyacht Society, and is a founding member of the Superyacht Alliance, supporting disaster relief and crew welfare organizations. Named Woman at the Top by Yachting Matters magazine, she received ACREW's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. Hi everyone, welcome back to Yacht Femme. I am ecstatic today. I am here with Norma Trease. She has decades of experience in the yachting industry. She is the founder of Yachting Knowledge and so much more. She sits on so many boards, assesses and consults on the side without putting her name out there. She's been helping me also with my upcoming projects. It's such an honor. She's always busy. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Well, it's fantastic to be with you, Andrea. I love Yacht Femme as a name for a podcast. And I know that you've always been such a great supporter of the professionalism of women in yachting. And I applaud you for that. So thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. And I just realized that you're one of the few people that actually get the name because I get a lot of people, Femme. Why is it called that? You would be shocked. But yeah, that happens very often. Let's just go ahead and dive in. Can you give us a little brief information of like who you are, where are you from, and how did you get into yachting?
Well, that's several questions in one, and all of them, in my case, require kind of a long answer. I've been really fortunate my whole life. My dad was a diplomat, and so I was born in South America and raised in Paris, France, and moved back to the United States full time when I was just a preteen. And, that gave me the opportunity to see the world in a different way and to be able to speak multiple languages. I went on to college and went to college in Italy for a year. So I speak fluent Italian as well as French and a couple of smatterings of other languages as well. And when you work in the yachting industry, that's very, very helpful because we're such an international, varied industry. So how I got into yachting goes back to when we moved to the United States. My best friend's dad owned an Allberg sailboat, and I went out sailing with him and the family and fell in love with sailing and did a lot of, traveling with them in a transatlantic and a bunch of other exciting things when I was just a teenager in high school. And after I graduated college, I moved down to Fort Lauderdale and met the captain, the famous Austin Scott, that was working on the Lord Jim, the Sparkman and Stevens. And he said, "You like to cook and you know how to sail and you speak some languages for going around the world. Would you like to go with us?" And so that's how I got started in a full-time onboard career. I spent about 10 years doing that before I came ashore to what was already my home of Fort Lauderdale and started the Crew Network, which was super early days in crew recruitment or placement, as we call it here in America. And I owned that company for 12 years and built it into 7 offices in 5 different countries and sold it to Fraser Yachts. And that started my ongoing business career, which has been, pretty darned amazing. I've, built one of the first luxury marinas in Barcelona. I worked for one of the largest yacht insurance firms and started their yacht division for them, based out of Monaco. I've just finished 3 years with a fantastic tech company that does cybersecurity called Dryad Global. And throughout all of that, I've been able to do a lot of volunteering in the industry. And I'm on the board of directors currently of Superyacht Society, where I'm an emeritus, and Seakeepers Society, which I think, does ocean research, conservation, and education. So, I kind of call my career the house that yachting built. So sorry for the long answer.
It wasn't long enough. I was actually full with information. There was zero fluff in your answer, which I really appreciate. So 10 years, yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. 10 years in crew, did you go directly to being a chef? Or what positions, or did you do multiple positions when you were on board as crew?
Well, my job was always chef because growing up in a diplomatic family, we always did a lot of entertaining. And my mom was a great cook and my dad was, but literally we grew up as entertaining as part of what we did. And I always wanted to be a part of all the action that, my parents were, holding big parties, and my older brother and sister growing up in Paris. And, it was just really exciting for me. So I loved it but when I worked on yachts, it was mainly smaller boats. The last yacht I worked on wasn't the biggest one. My largest yacht was 47 meters. That was Charisma and motor yacht. And I did transatlantics on that boat and all kinds of really interesting things. Richard Burton and Liz Taylor's boat. And I finished my career on a brand new 100-foot Hatteras motor yacht. And in between, I did mainly, as we did back in the day, smaller sailboats. So I wasn't just cook, I was cook, mate, stew. And, sometimes there was just two of us. My one of the most interesting jobs I did with just two people was I spent a season working with the iconic captain and very successful yacht broker, Annie Avery. It was just the two of us on a 60-foot Camper Nicholson sailboat. And so, she was captain, engineer, mate, and I was deckhand, stew, chef. And we just had a great time working together back then. And that was a big deal, two women running a boat in the Caribbean. And we're still really good friends to this day. And, that illustrates one of the things I love the most about yachting is the fact that you can access it from any angle, whether, of course, people that come from an onboard end, means a lot to me. And people like Annie, I think one of the reasons why she's so successful as a broker is because she was a very, very knowledgeable and well-experienced captain. And, so yeah, small boats. I did just about everything. I had a 200-ton captain's license for many years, but that was many years ago.
Yeah, I feel you're one of the few really in the industry that not only has you've really done it all. We have a lot of people that were crew and now land-based people. I'm one of them. I never run extensively at your level, but from that to founding your companies, you talked about participating in tech in associations that are helping the maritime. The other ones, I also know that you help with relief efforts every time there's like some disaster. So it's just really impressive in that sense. How is it that you made your transition from going from being crew and now to this really massive career on land?
Well, I give it all the credit to the yachting industry and what it does for people. I was really fortunate to be along for the ride. When I came ashore in the, early, when was that? 1990s. I wanted to find love. I was tired of a captain in every port. It just wasn't working for me. And I owned a house with my sister. And I said, what am I going to do? The only thing I know is crew. I know everybody in all the docks everywhere. I know all the captains and all the chefs and all the brokers. And because I had this really busy charter career and traveled a lot and, did the Med and the Caribbean. So I said, and I'd gotten treated wrong by another crew agency. And I said, I can do it better. So I went down the street, 17th Street, rented an office, didn't know any better. I had $21,000 saved from, my brilliant career as a yacht chef. I thought I was rich. Little did I know that was not enough. But it was enough to get me started. And I was always interested in technology. I had an early computer background in jobs I had when I was in college. So we had one of the first early developments of databases. And we had the very first online database with Crew Network. Because by then, it didn't matter that I couldn't know every single crew person by the end of the growth of Crew Network because the industry had grown so fast. And when Fraser Yachts came after me to buy my company, in all honesty, they did it because of the strength of our database that connected all of our offices. And as for the rest of my career, a lot of it comes down to, you mentioned my association work. The first organization I joined was Superyacht Society, literally months after I opened. Yeah, I mean, I literally built in partitions in my office and painted the walls and everything. And I joined Superyacht Society so that I could meet people in the business of yachting. And that's made all the difference, because through Superyacht Society, I know the leaders in the business of yachting, and that includes people that run the shipyards, that run the supply companies, that are the designers and the architects and the builders and all of those people, and it makes a big difference if you're trying to get anything done, if you know who's at the end of the phone line. And then of course I just get as my business career worked on, the first call, which was remote telemedicine, was my first one. Only Yacht in Monaco was my second really, really big project. Everybody knows about Marina Port Vale in Barcelona. I spent 6 years working for a big investment firm out of London doing that. That was such a blast and so incredibly successful. And of course, my journalism career, after I sold Crew Network, then we started Dock Walk and sold Dock Walk. And then I went to go work for Yacht Report Group for 7 years and started Crew Report for them. And I've spent 15 years with Yachting Matters magazine, the fantastic Colin Squire. And now I'm just starting to do some work for the Triton, which has been bought by Yachtco. And Yachtco is a company that I know really well because I work with them at Superyacht Society. And my latest hard work volunteering, which is Seakeepers Society, which I've been a member of since it was founded in Monaco 26 years ago. So again, I'm sorry, that's a really long answer. And I'm not quite sure that I answered your initial question, which is, why have I been able to have this career? But back to what I said at the beginning, the yachting industry is constantly growing. And because the industry is growing, what is required to build these floating pieces of art and technology and innovation and inspiration, all the rest of us have to grow along with it. So I have been riding this fantastic wave of yachting, which is something I encourage everybody to do, to be honest with you. Stay in yachting because it's the best thing coming and going. And it never stops growing. And it's always at the top of everything that revolves around it, including the people.
I still think you were able to do so much when there was really nothing. You really created infrastructure and processes that now we use and we sort of take for granted. We feel they have been around forever. They haven't. Like you said, the yachting industry has grown really, really fast. And a couple of decades ago, it just, even for those that are in Fort Lauderdale, 17th Street did not look like that when I lived there only a few years ago. It's completely different landscape now. But I wanted to focus also on what are you doing right now? So if you could tell me describe that job role and the tasks that I know you, again, it's a little hard because you do have your hand in so many things, but maybe we talked about yacht knowledge and what is it that you're doing there?
Well, yacht knowledge is simply, my working title for my business consultancy career. And as I've just told you, a long list of companies I've worked for. So, that is how I'm incorporated in the state of Florida. And, I always like businesses that tell you by their name what it is you do. Yours, Yacht Femme, is great for that, Yacht Woman. And, mine is Yacht Knowledge, and I have quite a bit of that. But, again, one of the things that has helped me really build my career in yachting is my volunteer work. And that's something I've done from the very beginning. I told you I joined Superyacht Society from the get-go and have been, very, very supportive, active member, and intend to go to our events in Monaco coming up soon. And I was on the board of directors of the Professional Yachting Association for 10 years based out of Antibes. And Antibes is my French hometown. I lived there for 20 years as a secondary home. But anyway, I've spent a lot of time working for Yacht Global. You mentioned doing humanitarian and disaster relief work. I've worked with them through several different major hurricanes and cyclones. And what I mainly do is communicate and raise money when it's needed. I'm always proud of how the yachting industry can rally and do fantastic things. And of course, I'm on the board of directors of the International Seakeepers Society, which was founded, as I mentioned earlier, in Monaco 26 years ago. I happened to be very fortunate to be invited on board a yacht for a weekend rendezvous, little knowing that it was going to mean that I was going to be asked to join the board of directors. There's only 6 of us, some of the top people in the yachting world and elsewhere. We have 4 different nationalities on the board. And we do amazing things. We've done scientific research projects in using the yacht community, with the yacht community, all over the globe. We've done over 500 scientific missions on over 200 yachts. And we continue to do fantastic things. And I think it's very, very important for yachting to exercise its not just humanitarian, not just charitable, but its ability to give back to the world. And when it's in the environment that we work in, like humanitarian work needed in areas in the South Pacific or the Caribbean or the Bahamas, and, you know, like Seakeepers, we do all over the world, because it gives all of us a higher purpose. And if nothing else, all of us as business people, that's something that's really important. It's really good for business, and it's fantastic for the yacht ownership and charter experience, because it gives you an understanding that you don't have to be embarrassed about yachting, and you don't have to apologize for it, because we do pretty damned amazing things.
I love that you say that, because in the beginning of my career, when I was building a yacht in directorship here in Fort Lauderdale, a lot of other friends were doing stuff that felt a little less, more selfless than it was building luxury second homes or toys for the 1% of the world. And I always thought, but now if they're roaming around the world, we could be doing so much good while they're getting from point A to point B. They have these huge budgets that it just a drop in the bucket for them to do just one excursion, one little thing. And I'm so happy that so many associations are really taking advantage and have now created an easy way for them to give back. Because it does make us feel a lot better about the industry. And of course, there's so many now, chapters on sustainability and awareness and how we can actually bring good globally. So it's amazing how the yachting industry is now giving back so much. You have also created a lot of stuff from scratch, from a small business owner, entrepreneurship, which is creating something that didn't really exist. From what I hear, you created it because you saw that it was a necessity. You didn't have a good experience being in a crew placement before, so you decided to do your own. But you've done this so many times, so many iterations of them. Can you take us through the process, at least of one of them, when you said, I'm going to create something new? Because we have so many entrepreneurs out there wanting to learn how to build their own company, break into the space, and you were a rising star, a trailblazer, and an entrepreneur all rolled into one. So,
well,
how that started. Yeah,
that's a great question, and it's very, very interesting, because, of course, my experience in the last couple of decades has been helping other people build their businesses. And normally what people ask me to do is use my experience in yachting to help them figure out how to achieve greater profitability and integration into the yachting business. One of the things that has always been important to me in the businesses that I work with is I've stayed true to my roots, and that's that the businesses I work with have to, in one way, positively impact the careers or the interests of professional yacht crew. So I really see myself as an advocate, and of course I have very deep roots in that as well. Having been chairman of the Yacht Masters for 9 years, all the crew publications that I just mentioned to you, as I said, 10 years on the PYA board. And so the businesses that can positively impact yacht crew, just like the rest of the industry, have grown fantastically well. So when somebody comes to me, the first thing I look at is this a product or a company or people that are going to resonate in the yachting industry? Are they going to help yacht crew? Are they going to resonate in the industry? Is it scalable? Then normally what I end up doing is I take a look at their business processes. Are you invoicing properly? Do you have your stuff priced properly? Then it gets into the nuts and bolts of promotion, and that is everything. I'm a big advocate of free press. How I got started as a yacht journalist was by writing stories in Dock Walk as I was traveling the world, going to boat shows and stuff for my business, and because I couldn't afford advertising. So I'm telling you, and in today's world, you can create your own content so easily. It makes such a big difference. And so anyway, then I help those clients that have the what it takes to really succeed in the yachting industry. I help them get there. And normally I tell my clients it takes at least 2 years, but I've spent longer periods of time with some of my companies. As I said, I was 4 years with Only Yacht, 6 years with Salamanca Group, came back for another year afterwards. I just had 3 years with Dryad Global. So sometimes it takes a little longer, but I basically only work part-time because I spend so much of my time doing my volunteer work. Right now for Seakeepers, I'm in charge of everything we're doing at the upcoming Monaco Yacht Show, and that's a really big job. We've got 12 people coming, and we're doing seminars and parties and all kinds of stuff. And that is in order to access our people in Monaco. And that's what it's all about in the industry. So what it comes down to is helping my businesses that I work with do the same kind of stuff I've been able to do for myself and my associations. And it works.
You were also giving a lot of information of like how, if I come up with a new business, even what criteria should I use to understand if it's going to make it all the way to the end, from scalability, price point, and other ones that you mentioned there. Is there any time that you've come up in your years of consulting that someone's come up with you with an idea and you said, you know what, that's just not gonna make it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All the time. All the time. I mean, I love my friends in yachting. And sometimes I have to say, I get a little tired of that free lunch kind of thing. People always want to bend my ear, which is great. I love it. I've mentored so many people. I've helped so many. I always say, if I had a nickel for every business that I helped thrive just as friends, I would be a millionaire, which I can assure you I'm the last thing removed from. I work in the yachting industry, but I work part-time. If it wasn't for my darling husband, I couldn't do all this stuff. I got to make sure I talk about him because, he's the most important thing in my life. But I still think in the yachting industry, yes, there's a way you can grow your own business. And today, your own business is completely different. Everything is online. Look at what you're doing. It's fantastic. The yachting industry, again, has to move along with the times. And look at all the businesses that crew people are starting these days. I mean, it's awesome, that Lauren Wardley that has the
ethical.
She does environmental uniforms. What's the name?
Ethical yacht wear.
Ethical yacht wear. She's awesome. And Leah Tarrant that's doing the wash down. I
actually found her because of you. Before I created the idea for Yachting International's next forum on sustainability, you posted or commented on Leah's brother's LinkedIn post.
Yes, he joined her business.
And because you encouraged that, I was like, oh, who is this person? And I was like, it got me thinking, okay, I know what a revolution, Robert here, Leah, and I was like, oh my God, there's something that we can bridge the gap between giving a microphone just to people that are land-based to now that are crew, because there's so many of them created companies. So either way, it was like, that was one of my inspirations for the forum. Yeah.
Oh, I love that word, inspiration, and I'm inspired by what you're doing with your awards coming up in at Metz in
Thank
Amsterdam in November. Thank you again for inviting me to be a judge of that. And that Leah Tennant, also, as I said, Lauren Wardley, the two of them are just two of many, many examples of women doing fantastic things that I hope somebody nominates for your awards.
I'm not gonna say which ones have been nominated yet because it's only been open for a week and a lot have come in. But I
Great.
will say that they both are speaking in the forum end of August with their own sessions. So they're getting even extra airtime for us to know them even better, what they're doing and how they're helping and their thoughts on sustainability. So that's gonna be really, really cool.
Great. You found a very nice niche, and you're populating it with a different style of events and outreach. So, that's awesome. You got to go with the way the world is doing it. And, the yachting industry thrives on not just new ideas, but on recognition. So good for you.
Thank you. That's so kind. I'm so happy people are accepting the events, and there has been positive reaction to them, because you never know when you just decide I think this should be done doesn't mean other people agree with you. So it's been very humbling in that sense. But I want to continue talking about you, and this might be a very hard question for you, but can you pin down your proudest day in yachting because of so much that you have done, or at least your top three?
I have many of them. I tell you, one of the things that I am the proudest of that's lasted the longest in yachting is something that I created with Superyacht Society, and that's the Distinguished Crew Awards. With my friend, the dearly departed, fantastic Jane Buffington, and I decided that crew needed to be recognized alongside yachts and yacht designers. And so we created the first People Award for Superyacht Society, the Distinguished Crew Awards. And that's been almost 30 years ago. I think it's 26, something like that. And over the years, the stories that we've been able to share with the world of bravery at sea, of the use of training, of teamwork. A lot of the crew were involved in things like Cyclone Pam in Vanuatu, that was the fly fleet, and Motor Yacht Loon in the Bahamas, and it goes on and on and on. And to me, every single year when we give out the Distinguished Crew Awards at the Superyacht Society Awards Gala, that is an extremely proud moment. And I'm so, so happy that the yachting industry values the contribution of crew so much that is one of the longest lasting awards that we have. And I think it's very well deserved. Now we have Business Person of the Year, Artisan Award, and but it all started with the Distinguished Crew Awards. So that's a highlight every single year.
That's amazing. Having something last, that's a legacy.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's a legacy for the industry to recognize the importance of crew and the things that they can do. And it's the yachting industry is a great big place with lots and lots of different players and lots of opportunities and all kinds of different areas of potential concentration. But having, been my focus, as I said before, always to associate myself with businesses that benefit and positively affect crew, and to be able to bring crew into the greater world of associations and participation, which is a great career builder, is something else that, lengthens the opportunities for yacht crew, which is really important. Incredibly enough, despite all the many examples of so many yacht crew that have created fantastic businesses. I mean, I live down the street from Quantum Marine, with just absolutely fantastic John and his team building an $11 million business, and he's a former yacht engineer. I mean, that's just one, and so I really am always excited by the fact that as there's still opportunity for crew, whether it's to join a big business. You can be a charter broker. You can be a yacht broker, work for one of the big international companies. I'm looking for both a charter broker and a yacht broker right now, actually. So if anybody hearing this is looking for that kind of a job based in South Florida, I've got a great opportunity for you. I still do crew placement. I do what I call executive placement. I do some crew placement and some executive placement. Another one of my, I some people tell me I created the gig economy before it existed.
Well, it just shows that is your passion. You've done so many things, but giving back to crew seems to always be in the story. Seems to
it
be
is.
something that you never give.
For me, it's everything. I mean, the only thing I always say in the yacht business, because that's really interesting. Every single business that I have worked with, including my own, has always been something different. I've always been able to explore and learn and help grow very different aspects of the industry. And that part of it, I think, is, again, something that says a lot about what opportunities are for people that understand yachting and get it. I mean, it's great if you started out on a yacht, but you don't have to have worked on yachts to have a fantastic yachting career, because the business of yachting has grown way bigger than the onboard aspect. Crew has grown mathematically. The larger the boat, the greater the amount of crew. It's a mathematical equation. But the business of yachting has exploded. Actually, so there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to do all kinds of stuff. So bring it on.
That actually leads me into the next question. Is you've seen so many changes happening in the industry. Where do you see the industry going, at least in the sectors that you're paying attention? I know we're seeing changes in so many departments, but the ones that you're paying close attention to.
I mean, I did a seminar in Monaco last year for Superyacht Society called Mergers and Acquisitions, where we had the top guys in every business: Marine Max, the MDL, of Freedom. Of Fairport, IYC, Northrop and Johnson. Amazing, talking about everything. And since then, I mean, and that was like big, huge companies being absorbed by other companies. And we thought, and I said at the time, I think the yachting industry I think we can do this seminar next year, because I think the yachting industry is going to continue to go through some of this kind of natural growth. Consolidation and merging and international agreements and so on and so forth. So that's one of and in fact, we could have done another one this year, because we've seen everything that's just been happening recently. I mentioned Yachtco taking over Triton. That's just one, probably more where that came from. The fact that One Ocean is trying to take over Marine Max, and the IGY previous owner is trying to take it back from Marine Max before it gets taken over by One Water. I mean, so it never stops. So that's a trend I see in yachting. I see more growth in the business sector of it. I see more consolidation. And I think we all work in an international atmosphere. I think we still always have opportunities to grow new small businesses. I firmly believe that yachting is it's the 1% that own these yachts, but there's a whole lot more of us that depend on the yachting industry for our careers and our livelihoods.
Yeah, we're a whole lot more. We're more than them.
We're more than 1% if you add it all up. The value of the businesses and the international. I mean, so I truly see continuing changes. I see the yachting industry is growing up. I see more opportunity for yacht crew to do the things that they want to do. And people that are serious about their careers can have really long onboard careers if they want to, but if not, they can join the business of yachting, and why not? And I just hope everybody understands that the yachting industry is something that is really, really possible to have a very long-term career at your own pace and at your own decision of what you want to do.
There, another question I wanted to ask, I want to go back to something you said is, why is it that you think that that is the future of yachting? Why do you think we're seeing so many consolidations? Why are people buying other companies, that you see that being more and more so in the future? And you mentioned so many examples of what already happened and already intentions of other ones trying to buy other ones. So
it's a natural growth of the industry when, now that yachting has become so mainstream. You see it in the normal press. You see it on television all the time. You see it in commercials. You read articles about it. So the yachting industry is, even though people don't really understand it, it's a little easier to even say yacht nowadays because people recognize it more. And so therefore you've seen a lot of big money coming in. Some of these companies that I just mentioned have war chests that are in the hundreds of millions. So whether it's acquiring land where marinas and shipyards are and upgrading them, whether it is buying yachting businesses that are related to profit centers, it might not be that a yacht management or a crew agency makes a whole lot of money, but they're affiliated with companies that do, and that offer entree to that 1%. So you have, and the yachting industry is just growing in its sophistication. I mean, I told you when I started my company, I knew nothing from nothing. That was over 30 years ago. I know a lot now. And so how you run a business today is very different than how people were able to start and run their businesses, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even. So I think we're going to see more consolidation. And I hope that we're going to see a lot more attention to environmental and social issues within the yachting industry, because I think that's extremely positive and very, very, very important for all of us to concentrate on the good that we can do. The power of yachting to do good has been my catchphrase for a really long time, and I believe implicitly in that. So, I hope that answers your question. I think.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. You just keep saying we're just growing, and the ways to grow, the war chest that they actually now have. They see that they have all these reserves. How can I invest? How can I improve? Is it acquiring a business? Is it just expanding? Is it creating a marina? Is there more lands? How can actually continue to grow? And the last thing that you mentioned, that we're seeing, these mergers and acquisitions, but we have also seen people be more socially conscious.
That's not just a worldwide trend, but it is so huge in yachting. You know why? Because we've got more to be accountable for. Because we do have a bad rep. All those things that I mentioned, the mainstream media, they're not saying nice things about yachting, for the most part. They're not saying, "Oh boy."
Great and bad, but I think great in the end for them understanding a little bit of the world. But every time I get asked, and I'm sure any time that you step out of yachting, people ask, "Is it the same as below deck?" There's drama, like there's also in corporate America drama. I had a lot of drama in the media agency I worked in New York. So, and we were like a small team, and somehow there was daily drama. So, and we didn't live together. So imagine if we couldn't go home to vent.
Well, exactly. And really of course, everybody asked me about Below Deck because, I am the real Norma from Below Deck. So I see my name up on the screen every other episode of Below Deck Med, Sandy's version. Because Sandy and I have been friends for so long, and we spend a lot of time. And the below deck effect is something we could spend a whole podcast talking about, but maybe
true.
not. It's about as good as it is bad as an influence on the industry. That's what I think.
100%. And it's interesting how we continue to get asked these questions since the start of Below Deck, because they've been now around for many years now.
And the captains, let's face it, every single one of the captains are excellent examples of their craft. I mean, Sandy, I've been to sea with her. I know what kind of captain she is. She and I have been friends for 25 years. She's awesome, and she shows it on TV. Captain Jason down in, what's that country down under? Australia. I mean, the down under version is great. The Carrie, who's taken over from Captain Lee when he did the adventure one, and Glenn on the sailing boat. I mean, all of those are righteous captains. Those people are great examples. Now, the green people that they hire, that they bring on board, and they got a lot of learning to do.
Well, there's some that are green and some that are actors that are infiltrated in there. But I'm gonna stop Below Deck because, like you said, we can talk hours on this, and I have to be honest, I don't think I've seen one single episode yet. I just know about the show and seen little pieces of it because it was a little hard being asked that, are we exactly like that? And
no, girl, you have no excuse. If you're going to talk about it, you got to watch it. And if you want to watch it, watch Below Deck Med with Captain Sandy, because you're into the Femme in yachting, and she is a fantastic example of a female leader, as she always has been. And then you can see my name on there every once in a while too. She's really great, but it's not as bad as you think. It's not as bad as you think, but it's also way worse than you think.
That's what I'm afraid. But I'll definitely watch it. Actually, I got the Peacock subscription because of the Olympics. And every time I open the app, I see Captain Sandy, and I was like, oh, I think it's time. I think I have to watch this now. But let me jump back to you again. And can you tell us something we might not know about you? How I think about this, maybe something that we wouldn't find on LinkedIn about you. How can we connect with you when we see you at a networking event?
I do have a completely separate life outside of yachting, and that is centered around my darling husband, Detlef, who I spent a couple of decades chasing around the world in his very, very busy and vibrant career as an opera and concert singer. And that was a lot of fun. And he retired at the age of 50 during COVID. And he supports me in absolutely everything that I do. But he said he'd spent half of his life at that point. It's kind of like working as a yacht captain. No matter how good you are, you never know what's going to influence your career. And he said, I've done everything I can. So anyway, Detlef and he's German. And so he's not singing anymore, but he's doing some other great things. We have a little real estate investment thing we got going on. It's great. So, but I've gone back to, I'm the musician in the family now. This is what you don't know about me. I have been a lifelong choir singer. I started singing choirs when I was 6 years old, when we lived in Paris. I sang at the American Church of Paris in the children's choir. And I've been a very highly trained, and if I say so, excellent choir singer my entire life ever since. I had to give it up for a long time when I was at the height of my career and traveling with Detlef, but I'm back to it now. I sing at Church by the Sea on 17th Street in Fort Lauderdale. We do the classical repertoire, and I am absolutely thrilled to be back to my lifelong hobby and love of choir singing.
That's so wonderful. That's something that we definitely didn't know. I will say I'm an amateur choir singer. What voice do you have? I don't know how to say it.
I'm a first alto, but I also, because the Church by the Sea choir is very small, I love it. Sometimes I get to sing second soprano, so I get to use my higher range. And not too long ago, I got to sing tenor, so I got to use my lower range as well.
Wow. Yeah. Don't. I was, again, I don't know if this is the right translation. Contralto. So,
But yes, well, a contralto is actually a man that sings the alto repertoire.
well,
You're probably a first alto like me, or a second alto.
oh, well, in an all women's Catholic school, we were the bass. So when the sopranos were singing all the lyrics and sounded or angelic, and we were at the bottom going bum bum bum. I still remember a Jingle Bell song with "That's the Ex."
Well,
That's
listen, if you're ever in Fort Lauderdale,
I will definitely go.
you're more than welcome to come join us and sing in the choir at Church by the Sea. It is the most lovely place. It's non-denominational. It's really easy, and the music program is very nice. Because most churches today, they do that electronic music stuff, and there's not a lot of choir singing that. So
Really?
what can I say? So that's the answer to that question, because of course everybody knows how much I love to cook, so that's not a secret.
I was gonna say I knew that one. Um, you've already given us so much advice, but what advice would you tell yourself if you were starting in yachting, let's say tomorrow, and something you wish you had known back then?
Well, I think just like everybody, I certainly wish that maybe I had been better about saving money, you know. But I can't really say that that's true, because again, as I said, I basically only work part-time now, because I spend so much of my time doing my volunteer work to give back to this industry that's been so great to me. I always say that you can do whatever it is that you want to do in this industry, and you just have to just get out there and make it happen. And that's the beauty of it. Who you are as a person can really influence things. So, be a good person, be nice to have friends, be happily married if you can. Like me, we just celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary, and let me tell you, as thank you, as a strong base for life, and to be able to feel good about doing the kind of work that I do, volunteer and paid. I couldn't do it, honestly, if I didn't have my personal life in order. So, crew people, business people, keep your head on straight.
Yeah, very good advice.
I mean, not all the time. And another thing everybody knows about me is I do love a glass of wine.
Well, now and then, like, we have to. I heard it's good for your body too. So as long as it's red.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm kind of a silly mood today. I hope you don't mind, Andrea.
You're kidding me. I'm loving this. This is a great conversation. It's all I have for us today. Actually, a bonus question. You speak multiple languages. We know that the yachting industry is small, but it's spread out all over the world, so it's very global. How has it impacted you to be so diverse in your background and knowing so many languages as well?
Well, I'm very, very fortunate. My dad was a linguist in the U.S. State Department, and he actually helped develop the total immersion method of language training. And he spoke quite a large number of languages himself. And, when I was born in South America, we grew up speaking Spanish. My older brother and sister went to Spanish schools. When I was growing up in elementary school years in Paris, we went to a French school. We did everything in French. I was always crazy about making sure that I kept my English up so that I could still be a straight A student when I got back to the States. But anyway, and then I learned Italian when I went to, spent a year in Italy in college. And I speak pretty good conversational Spanish, and quite a bit of German, of course, because being in Germany with my German husband. But in terms of career, I think absolutely everything. It's not the level of communication you have with people, whether it's business or whether it's, buying flowers or produce in the market, is completely different when you can speak languages. But it's been hugely influential. I mean, especially with my French, I've had many, many companies I've worked with where we've conducted all of our meetings in French. And that's been absolutely fantastic. And when I go to these conferences, there it's really fun because you can speak to everybody in every language, and you can kiss them the way every different country kisses. But it's that's kind of a social thing. That's another thing, having lived in so many different countries, and really living there, whether it's chasing Detlef in his career or with my own, having the opportunity to learn a lot about different people's cultures and the way they do business has really, really helped me in my career.
This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Before we stop today, is there anything you want to share, or how we can stay in touch with your multiple projects coming up?
Absolutely, because Mediterranean boat show season is starting very, very soon. So I'll be attending the Cannes boat show, waving the Seakeepers flag. Then in Monaco, as I said, we've got a variety of different activities. We'll be upstairs at the Raskas. If anybody wants to come visit us at the ACREW Lounge, we've got a VIP section upstairs, which has great view over the show. And then comes the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. But if anybody's interested in what they can do in terms of scientific missions aboard their yacht with Seakeepers, or in any way that they can support us, I'm always more than happy to talk. We can do very, very simple things that are, don't require operational, time or effort, or, crew, time away from their jobs, or we can put a scientist on board and introduce you to fantastic projects. So I'm always happy to talk about all of those things all the way through Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. And then you and I are going to see each other at all of those places. And then after that, we'll be at METS, and we'll have a chance to talk ocean research, conservation, and yachting business all over again.
It is definitely going to be very exciting starting September 11, actually, because that's when I head out. To Cannes. I'm sure you're going to be there from the beginning of the show. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm flying on September the 10th, and I'm gonna stay in Antibes, where I'm gonna go to the Cannes boat show and the Genoa boat show from there, and then we move to Monaco for the Seakeepers House on the 23rd. And of course, the show starts on the 25th, which this year happens to be my birthday. So thank you, Monaco, for throwing me a birthday party again this year.
Oh, thank you for letting me know in advance so I can remind myself to say happy birthday.
Anyway, I'm feeling a little silly. Thank you so much, Andrea. It's been so nice talking to you.
Thank you. And as she said, she has tons of projects, a lot of wealth of knowledge that she is very happy to share. Follow her on LinkedIn. I have already benefited from following her on LinkedIn because she inspired one of the forums that I'm hosting. So thank you so much. Follow her on Instagram. But yeah, every account she has, it will be in the show notes. So just click more and you'll see everything and just follow. Thank you again. And I cannot wait to see you in person in a few days.
Sounds great. Well, I can't wait to see you in person, and I can't wait to see the podcast too. So thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Yacht Femme. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and comment. Your comment will help us reach a broader audience. And don't miss the next episode. Bye!